Alright, you're the first one in Soviet films. Ah, I guess the notification only just sent out because I was waiting for about a minute and then all of a sudden we've got chat messages. Alright, I feel quite tired today for some reason. I think some of it's my hay fever's been a bit crap today, so it's just, you know, where I think because antihistamines make you feel slightly drowsy as well, I've taken them to counter the effects of the hay fever, so my eyes are just itchy and sort of tired feeling. So this is just going to be a general webcam sort of stream and chat type one. I've got a new gas mask to show you. Thankfully it somehow got through UK customs without any trouble. Not that it's illegal to have or anything like that, just, you know, UK customs being UK customs. I'm not going to breathe through it, but I'll wear it very briefly. It came in really good condition actually, but it's potentially one of the worst gas masks ever made. Now, as I said, I'm not going to breathe through it for safety reasons, but here we go, the Chinese M65 cheek filter mask. And I didn't even realise the cheek filter's like completely detached from the mask itself. So yeah, let me get all the straps loose on it, and then it's got a weird strap system because it's essentially got 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's a 6-point strap harness. Wait, no, it's a 7-point strap harness because the cheek filter has its own strap. So brilliant. Let's get these straps loose and then I'll put it on very briefly. The thing is, the straps on this and everything feel really nice quality. It's just a shame the mask has such a really bad cheek filter design. So, if I can get this one loosened, there we go. And I'll loosen this one. The strap doesn't want to actually budge annoyingly. Now, I've not had any Japanese tea. What sort of tea is that? Because I assume it's made of tea leaves. Is it a sort of green tea or what? I quite like green tea, to be honest. I drink that without milk. Okay, let's see. Right, there we go. I'm not going to really tighten it, but the cheek filter pulls the mask crazily to one side. The voice diaphragm, though, should be alright because it's the standard Chinese voice diaphragm that was in loads of these masks. But yeah, I'm not going to breathe through it. Yeah, I'll do a video on this at some point. Probably film it next week, actually. I'm going to put my glasses in there. No, the politics stream was actually good. People were very civil. It surprised me. I was expecting it to be a lot worse than it was. I'll probably have to try that at some point. I'm sure I'd actually like it, that Japanese green tea then. But yeah, as I said, if I appear very tired today, it's because I both feel tired and my hay fever's acting up. Depends what you mean by a survival kit, but I've got kind of survival kits, but it depends really what you mean by it. Do you mean like sleeping rough for a while outdoors, like emergency food and water? Depends. I've never been a massive fan of bagels. I'm not a massive fan of croissants, things like that either. I find them a bit dry and kind of bland. Thank you very much again, Laserpoint. You always give me donations, but yeah, thank you. And yeah, everybody, don't forget to like the stream because it does seem to help them get shared. Yeah, this one's just going to be a general chat. I'll probably only go for about an hour today because, as I said, I feel still quite tired and everything, even though I didn't get up early this morning. It was one of those annoying days where, because I'm working tomorrow and I have to get up early for work tomorrow, but because I didn't have work today, I was volunteering yesterday, so I had to get up early yesterday. I thought I'd have a bit of a lie-in, but then I fell asleep for way longer than I wanted to, so then I felt really groggy and awful when I got up, even though I'd been asleep for like 13 hours or something. Well, the most expensive gas mask I've got, that would be my XM28, which I managed to break the other day. I like nuclear accidents, things like Chernobyl, gas accidents, things like Bhopal. But in general, there's lots and lots of things where, you know, shitty quality controls and training and everything regarding lots of dangerous chemicals and nuclear stuff can lead to disaster, even if it's not in a weapons sense. I used to do judo when I was a lot younger, but I've not done that in ages. Is anybody doing anything interesting today or at the weekend? I'm just working at the weekend as usual. So, like I've been doing most weekends recently, there will not be a stream tomorrow because tomorrow's Saturday. When I get back from work, obviously I'm working Sunday, so I don't want to do much. But then Sunday evening, if I've got enough energy, there will be a stream Sunday evening. The XM28, I paid nearly £100 for it, I think, but that was because it was on an auction. No, I'm never intending with the current UK laws to get a gun licence, because I've got no need for one. Oh, Chernobyl could have been worse if the liquidators didn't sacrifice themselves to clean it up, but yeah. Chernobyl shows basically what can happen if you've got, you know, stuff like nuclear energy. And I'm not even opposed to nuclear energy, this is the thing. But the whole point is that with something like Chernobyl, that, you know, it does demonstrate what can happen with lots of these things, even if you have got safeguards in place against certain things. The M65, there's one back there. It's a very good mask for what it is. The only issue with the M65 is it doesn't have a very good peripheral seal. So myself included, and lots of people will find that it doesn't do a very good face seal. Alright, cool. Let us know on the Discord sophistry if you find anything cool. I just use eBay for finding gas masks. Right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a caffeine tablet, although that won't kick in during the time of the stream, but... Some of you haven't seen this. This is my tablet box I use for, so I can put it in a big trouser pocket if ever I'm going out somewhere or like work. So I've got Imodiums in there because they're good when my colitis flares up if I desperately need, you know, whatever the opposite of a laxative's called. Caffeine tablets, paracetamol, antihistamine, so hay fever tablets, and codeine. I ought to put 2 more codeine in there for work tomorrow. There we go. There's 60 mg of codeine in there now. The worst gas masks are one I showed earlier in the stream, probably. Well, funnily enough, from quality control design-wise, this is not a bad gas mask in terms of it's got a good head harness, it's got good quality straps, the rubber's good, it's got a voice diaphragm and an exhale valve and everything. But it's got this monstrous, horrible cheek filter on it. One cheek filter to rule them all. Can you even take the valve off of that cheek filter? Oh, you can. Okay. So, that's the intake valve. That's the inside. Ooh. Just a little bit of plastic just fell out. Was that around the other way? Yeah, it was. If I can get him back in. There you go, it feels like it's sort of back in. But this is the mask of the non-replaceable cheek filter. The cheek filter pouch is totally sealed, so I hope your cheek filter doesn't expire when you need it, comrades. Codeine can be bought as in cocodamol over the counter, or when it's mixed with aspirin or ibuprofen or paracetamol. So cocodamol is paracetamol and codeine. But I'm on prescription for codeine because I've got ulcerative colitis. You're in chronic pain for that. So when I'm getting a bad flare or whatever, or for pain management, codeine's used for that. But there's no good painkiller for ulcerative colitis, unfortunately. Because I can't take aspirin or ibuprofen because they can kill me or make the UC worse, due to the fact it makes your stomach bleed and it thins the blood. Paracetamol doesn't do much because obviously it's really weak as a painkiller, and paracetamol overdose is obviously really dangerous because it just basically destroys your liver. So opioid painkillers are basically the only thing you can have for ulcerative colitis, and that comes with, you know, its whole, you know, mix of problems. Let me look at what Suboxone is, but if it's an NSAID, I can't take it. No, it's actually an opioid. Can be used by skin patch, because you see, something like a skin patch, something like that, would be quite good for me, because the thing is, like, that's why I use nicotine patches now, because I can just stick them on, and then they, you know, do off of that. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. But the problem is, with a lot of the time with the doctors, is your doctor's going to probably almost already decided what painkiller they want you to have. Because that's where I've had lots of problems with UC painkillers in the past, is doctors either taking the attitude that I don't really need a painkiller even though I'm chronically ill, or you know, they want to give you the strongest stuff possible that just makes you feel ill and like a zombie. You know, where something like codeine's quite good for me because it's quite a weak painkiller, in terms of opioids at least. It's not a weak painkiller as in being a weak painkiller, but it's weak in the opioid family of painkillers, you know, compared to like morphine, heroin, stuff like that. So it at least means that, you know, I can function while on it and work. When you mean side-mounted, Gert, do you mean like 40mm or 60mm filter on the side? There's loads, S10s, FM12s. Marijuana, that's Class B drug, but CBD has been legalised now. So you can buy CBD, which doesn't get you high, and I can actually use CBD to help control some of the UC symptoms. It doesn't completely get rid of them. You know, it's not a replacement for medication, but it is good along the side of a few other things. Like, both nicotine and CBD are good for helping control UC symptoms. Just to let you know, people in the chat, I am not going to get into an argument with made-up illnesses and things like that. You know, people in the medical world probably have a much better knowledge than you about those sort of things. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to get into any anti-vaxxer kind of territory whatsoever. I'm just going to say that now so I don't have to start blocking people, because as I said, I don't want to block people, but when there's some sort of medical ignorance, it does make me very annoyed. I was saying, green tea, yeah, I like green tea laser point production. I quite like the green teas that are infused with other things, like what we've got some gingerbread green tea things in the cupboard at the moment, and they're good, yeah, because I don't have them with milk. I can just have them with boiling water, the tea bag, and yeah, except it's a less of a caffeine burn, isn't it, with those? Green tea is actually good for ulcerative colitis as well, because it's slightly anti-inflammatory. Again, it's one of those things where it's not a replacement for medication, like the proper, you know, like medication I have to take every day for the UC, but it does assist the symptoms. Yeah, diamorphine, which is basically heroin, isn't it? And that is on prescription, but of course you're never going to get that normally unless you're chronically ill. You know, like, well, I'm chronically ill, but you know what I mean, terminally ill. They give it to like cancer patients, because part of the idea with something like diamorphine is that if patients are being given it, they're probably so close to death anyway that if they're in a lot of pain and they overdose accidentally on the diamorphine, you know, it's probably all round good for everybody. Right, see you, Niam. When you say apple beer, do you mean cider? Because alcohol made from apples and pears and things is called cider, not beer. Oh, and my computer fan suddenly decides it's wanting to go louder as I'm streaming, which is typical, but oh well. Don't think I've actually tried caramel tea or any of those. I've definitely tried green tea, St. John's wort, you know, like black tea, which is standard tea, or red tea, whatever you want to call it. But most of the time I just end up drinking coffee. You mean just activated charcoal and activated charcoal scents? You can buy activated charcoal as tablets for like treating stomach issues, or you can buy activated charcoal from aquarium suppliers, as in like massive bags of activated charcoal. I like Indian Pale Ale quite a lot, actually. Maybe I'll try some at some point, compot in the evenings. You know, like a nice relaxing cup of tea before bed. Well, if you've got a proper eye infection, you can tell I'm tired, go to the doctors, because if you need proper antibiotics, you're not going to manage without them. But in terms of like minor infections, just like antiseptics around the outside of the eye, I guess. Let me Google it and just see if you can buy it like on Amazon or whatever. Because if you can order some on Amazon, or just buy a box on Amazon, and I can just, you know, start drinking it whenever they deliver it. Let's see, chamomile tea. Is there any company that sells them as tea bags? Yeah. So, 80 tea bags. Oh wait, no, that's loads in that one. I don't want one that big. Tell you what, I'll buy the Clipper ones because I like Clipper organic tea bags. They put them in like the grey tea bag things, don't they? Yeah, let me do that. One-time purchase would be £8.75. I'll take my glasses off because some people say, oh, you can see your bank details when you're putting them in on there. But yeah, let me order some of those and I'll let you know how I get on with them. Get it tomorrow. Bye now. There we go, all done. So I'll let you know how I get on with those tea bags. Stalker's very good, but it's not always the easiest game to get into. The thing is with Stalker, it's one of those games where I think once you get into it, you'll really enjoy it. But a bit like Dark Souls, Demon Souls, all those sort of games, because it has quite a steep learning curve, a lot of people just can't get into it. Yeah, we used to do that, but personally, I just prefer using tea bags for convenience reasons. But yeah, I think if you are going to strain your own tea leaves and everything that way, you can make, you know, an even more customizable cup of tea, can't you? But we've got all the equipment to do it here in a big teapot and everything, but a lot of the time I like tea bags just for convenience reason. No, I've not played Metro Exodus. Once they finally take it off of the Epic Store and it's on Steam, I might show more of an interest in it. And I'd probably stream it if I ended up playing it. But at the moment, I've been playing a lot of Mordhau, Fallout Shelter, you know, that mobile kind of Fallout game, just because it's good for when I'm listening to audiobooks or, you know, doing other stuff. Where Weapon Collector was streaming Fallout 76, I thought, oh, this doesn't look too terrible now. So if it's really cheap, I'll actually get Fallout 76, and then Bethesda still want £45 fucking for it, so fuck you Bethesda, I'm not paying that. No, I don't hunt with my pellet gun. In my car, I've got a proper med kit that's got like plasters, bandages on, all that sort of stuff, you know, one of those foil blankets. But yeah, this isn't really a med kit as much as I could put plasters in it. It's just for, you know, like actual medication kind of things, just so I can have them in my pocket without messing about with little packets of things. Yeah, I might have a look into that at some point now for Amiga, but I'll see if I like the actual tea first, because there's no point me planting them if, you know, I don't get on with the tea bags. Yeah, there's a Discord for people who support me on Patreon or Super Chat. At some point I'll try and do another version of the homemade gas mask, but I won't do that anytime soon. Yeah, as I already said, Peach, from when we were watching Weapon Collector stream, if it was down to something like £10 due to the game dying, you know, I'd pay that, because I would get £10 worth of enjoyment for it, but I'm not going to pay any serious money for it. Especially when the PS4 and Xbox One version on Amazon is like £14, but they still want 45 quid for the PC version. So, you know. Is she actually resigned now? Let me look at the news. She said she was going to resign before, didn't she? She never fucking did. Let me have a look. Oh, Theresa May quit, so that's good news, isn't it? An emotional Theresa May, strong and stable, boo-hoo, confirms she will step down as Tory leader on 7th of June. So what's that, like 2 weeks' time? Saying she has done all she can, not very much, and a new Prime Minister will have to deliver Brexit. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo. The next one will be just as shit as her, though. I've had bug out baggers in the past, but I don't currently have one set up. I think it's just due to the shitty DRM kind of stuff sophistry. Because I think with Fallout 76, because you can play it second hand and things like that, the console versions, because it's like physical media, because of supply and demand, are a lot cheaper. Where because the PC version of Fallout 76 is pretty much just, you know, like digital downloads, Bethesda have a monopoly on what they can charge for it, and now Bethesda is so dumb, they're charging a price nobody wants to pay for it, because, you know, they don't understand supply and demand. No idea what that is, Compot Boss, doesn't sound like my thing. I like those sort of things separately, women and panzers, but I don't know if I'd like them together, just saying. Other than Oddworld Soulstorm, I don't know if there's much I'm looking forward to at the moment. Mountain Blade Bannerlord, when that eventually comes out. There'll also be more updates coming out for Totally Accurate Battle Simulator that will be good, just more like content for that. I don't think I've heard of that channel, Compot. But yeah, I'll have a proper read of Theresa May boo-hooing when I finish doing the stream. Is that a PC version, Laserpoint Production? Because I'm sort of interested in it if it is. Because I could stream it on here and then I could do nothing but complain about the game. So yeah, that might actually interest me, mate. You have to send me a PM on Discord about it and we'll chat about it. But yeah, I don't have a PS4 or an Xbox One, so they're useless. But for me. But yeah, if there's a PC version and you did, alright, okay, I'm sort of interested in that then. Yeah, because if that is a PC version, then I'm kind of interested in that. I mean, does it just have an activation key in it? Because it has an activation key in it. You could just open it, couldn't you, and just PM me the activation key, and then I could set up that way. But yeah, I mean, what I would do with that is definitely if I'm getting it for free, I could stream it, and then I could moan non-stop about the game while I stream it. Which might entertain some people, I guess. Alright, cheers, yeah, thanks, I'll try and remember to check. But yeah, that would be good. I don't know how much I'd play of it, because then if I hate it, I wouldn't play much, but I would like to kind of try and play it. Just because where Weapon Collector has been streaming it, he's got a bit of enjoyment out of it. And the thing is, it's one of those games I imagine I could easily waste a few hours in, even if I didn't want to play it properly. You have to super chat or support me on Patreon, Nardus. And then anybody that's donated to the channel can have a Discord link. So if you end up doing a super chat, just write on another video what your Discord ID is, and then I can add you to my friends and add you to the server. Don't think it's some sort of super special cool server. It's just people chatting about surplus and stuff. The only reason I have it is like any kind of reward to get in is it just helps make it easier to moderate the server, and it also means that you know, it's a kind of reward for people that donate. Cool, air shows in planes and helicopters. That's very cool. I've never been to a proper air show. It's really annoying. I've seen some fly past when they're going to and from air shows because I live near an airport. But I've played Rising Storm 2 Vietnam. My favourite thing with that though was when they did that Green Army Men thing as the Christmas thing. I played a shitload of the Green Army Men. But the problem is with Vietnam, it's one of those games where sometimes I'm not in the right mood to play it, so I'll try and play it. I'll get shot loads of times in a row and then kind of rage quit because I'm not in the right, you know, mindset to be playing a more tactical shooter. Well, the recent World War Z game, or World War Z, whatever you want to call it. I don't think my mum's good enough at metalworking to make an SLR. Just saying, Panzerkampfwagen. Bournemouth Air Show. Yeah, if you're in Australia, it's probably just easiest to sort out the serial key, isn't it? Because posting it to the UK would take ages, I imagine. And I don't want somebody in customs, knowing UK customs, to just open it and steal the CD key. I trust you with my address because you've donated so much. I doubt you're interested in doxing me at all. It's just, to be honest, it sounds like if you can send me a CD key from it, that might just work better. But I don't know. Let me Google it. Can you activate Fallout 76 with a CD key? Well, the site's selling the CD keys from it, so I assume you can. I'm just going to have a quick Google of this. I can hear people complaining about buying CD keys from sites and them not working. Yeah, I mean, what you could do is try sending me the key first, laser point. We can see if that registers. Then, if not, I can sort you out some money for postage, and then just hope it works. Because I wouldn't want you to go out your way and pay for postage on that, seeing how much you've donated before. I've not read too much into the social credit system. I've heard it's some sort of dystopian thing, but I've not read too much into it. Well, ideally there's meant to be an intermediate cartridge between 762 and 556, wasn't there? Like the British 280 cartridge that America was like, no, Britain, you can't use that, you're a NATO member. But yeah, the idea was originally that there was going to be a cartridge that would have ended up being more powerful than 556, but not as powerful as 762 NATO, like an intermediate cartridge between the two. That the British EM2 rifle was meant to use, but then because America went to 762 NATO, everybody else in NATO basically did, and that's why like the FAO ended up being a 762 NATO rifle. Alright, that's cool. Laser point, cheers. But yeah, out of the cartridges, I'd personally say 762 is better. 556 is very good as a cartridge with like 300 yards or less range, being lightweight to carry. But obviously the issues that have turned up with 556, which isn't a flaw with the round, it's a flaw with how the rifles are issued and what they're designed for, is that if soldiers are expected to be shooting at long distance, they really shouldn't be using 556 rifles. That's why 762 is good, because, you know, it's a flatter, heavier bullet for trajectory-wise. Because Switzerland's a neutral country, I guess. Yep, strangely, Sir Roofington, the politics stream did really well. What ended up happening was people were generally quite civil. Some people disagreed on points, but everybody could be polite about it. We discussed pros and cons of certain political ideologies, moaned about politicians. Yeah, designated marksman rifles are always 762 NATO or above, aren't they, in terms of things? Yeah, I was saying, that's why Britain adopted the 556 for the L85 series, the SA-80s, but we've not since gone away from that. Yeah, it's the Lewis Machine and Tools one, isn't it? I can never remember because it's like owl and a big number, but yeah. It's a 762 battle rifle, essentially. It's very accurate. Which country are you in, Uncle Sasha? And then I'll see if I can recommend something. But lots of the old Warsaw packed masks with things like FP5 filters are good, or German M65s. There's lots of good masks, but it depends where you are, because otherwise I can't recommend you a cheap mask unless I know what country you're based in. Yeah, that's the problem, is infantry body armour and things have moved beyond what 556 can pen easily. Romania. Can you get Romanian, what they called like M76 masks or M85 masks, something like that, quite cheaply? Because they're Draeger M65 copies. So I imagine in Romania you could buy them cheap domestically and they'd actually be quite good masks. What, Tony Abbott is that, or somebody else? I don't even know how to pronounce your name, sorry. 303 is good, but it's outdated because Lee Enfield was 303, and 308, which is the 762 NATO round, was designed to be very similar in power to that, but a slightly smaller cartridge. That sounds very cool. The PKM's a lovely machine gun though, isn't it? That's the reason it's been in service for so long with so many countries, just because it's such a reliable, good machine gun. Israeli gas masks are fairly good, but often they can be quite expensive, so it just depends. There's lots of masks, if you see them for a good price, they're worth getting, but a lot of the time they're not, you know, depending on how much people charge for them. That's alright, Uncle Sasha. As long as people are asking sensible comments and I actually catch them, you know, I will always try and respond to them. Yeah, air rifles are very good, if not PCP ones, but in terms of like break barrels, yes, because the thing is, the air rifle, it's sufficient in its own power, assuming nothing breaks in a rifle and it stops working, but that would apply to any gun, wouldn't it, if parts broke. And you can carry a hell of a lot of 177 or 22, or 22, whatever you want to call it, you know, pellets on you. Because, you know, a tin of 500 pellets will literally fit in any pocket and any kind of clothing. So if you have a proper plate carrier or something, or any kind of clothing with like mag pouches, you could probably carry thousands of rounds in a single magazine pouch or whatever. So assuming the gun doesn't break, yeah, for hunting small game like pigeons, rabbits, whatever, a break barrel 2.2 long, not 2.2 long rifle, sorry, you know, like 2.2 air rifles, very good. Alright, cool. So, by the sound of it, Laser Point Production, all I need to do is register for a Bethesda account, put that CD key in, and do that. Do you have a Steam account, Laser Point Production? Because you might as well have me on Steam as well if you do. We'll sort it out later, but, you know, if you ever want to play games with me or whatever, because it'd be a bit of a shame not to play games with you, seeing as you're so generous. Can't say I'll be all that reliable at wanting to be online and be social and play games, but I don't mind doing it with people. Well, it depends on the laws in your country and everything, Eric. In the UK, you can have an air rifle under the age of 18 if your parents are willing to let you do it. I think really all you have to need to demonstrate, if they're people that would listen to like reason, is that you're just going to be very safe with it and follow good instructions. If you have a proper like range set up in your garden for it, where there's no risk of pellets leaving your garden, you know, like you set up a big hardwood board or something as a backstop, and you put tin cans or paper targets on the front, you know, they are very safe air rifles. You can get a beginner's air rifle very cheaply as well. Like that £100 BSA Hornet I have is fantastic for a £100 air rifle. You know, it will teach you a lot about firearms safety using an air rifle, because you still have all the things about safety, you know, keeping the gun in a safe direction, you know, and all that sort of stuff. That sounds cool, Laser Point Production. Yeah, I'll make sure I chat with you when the stream ends, because I mean, I probably wouldn't be able to get Fallout 76 downloaded and installed today, because I imagine it'll be quite a slow download, and I'm working at the weekend, but I will definitely try and get into that and stream some of it. Yeah, that's very strange, isn't it? Because Australia's got slightly looser gun laws than we have in the UK, but the air rifles are more restricted, and airsoft's even more restricted. It's very strange when there's weird laws like that. Do any countries actually use what, Sir Roofington? 303. There might be some nations that still use it, just as in they've got like surplus Lee Enfields and they can't afford anything better. For ages, Canada still used 303, I think, for snipers who were issued, and like reservists that were issued with Lee Enfields, but I think they've moved beyond that now. But in general, most nations use standardised rounds, as in 7.62 NATO, 5.56 NATO, 5.45 Soviet, and sort of 7.62 Soviet. They kind of tend to be the most common rounds, just because they're the most mass-produced rounds. And you know, there's so many guns that shoot those rounds. Yeah, UK air rifle laws are good. I just wish people who did really bad, irresponsible things with air rifles had more, you know, got harsher sentences, like the people that, you know, go around and shoot random people on the street with air rifles, or shoot people's cats with air rifles. They ought to have the armed police called on them, and if they're not initially shot, they ought to do, you know, 10 to 20 years in prison for something like that. Because, as I've said, I would rather than the laws getting more restrictive for everybody, I would like it that if somebody does really bad things with a air rifle or a crossbow or whatever, that they just feel the full force of the law, not innocent people that haven't done anything. I might be able to show you a 303 round. Hang on, let's see if I've got one sitting on here. Right, just for a laugh, there's a 50 BMG, you know, like 50 cal. Right. My 303 is visible. Right, that's the Soviet 303 for Lend-Lease stuff. Here's a 556, and I should have a 762 NATO somewhere. Right, anyway, that's a 303, and that's a 556, to give you some idea of size comparison. Notice the 303 is a lot bigger. Let me just get a 762 NATO round out. Oh, there goes my 556. Easy way I can get one of these out to show you. Right. So size-wise, as you can see, 303 is slightly bigger than the 762 NATO, but there's not a massive amount in it. In terms of energy, I think 303, as in 762, sorry, 308, as in 762 NATO, is slightly more powerful, but that's just because the cartridge is a bit fatter and, you know, there were more advancements in rifle design by that point. And then 556 NATO, to give you a comparison, you know, is a lot smaller. But, you know, nothing compared to a 50 BMG. But yeah, for the people wondering why is it that, obviously, 762 NATO is so much more powerful, just compare the size of the cartridge. That's purely the reason. More energy behind it in a heavier round, so far more foot-pounds of energy. It's just simply the reason it travels further and does a lot more damage when it hits stuff. Again, it's because 556 is designed for sort of low recoil shooting at sort of 300 yards odd range. For that, it's very good, as just people have said. The problem is that sometimes firefights take place over longer distances than that, and modern infantry body armour means that it's sort of not good enough anymore. Yeah, that's a shame, Steve, but that's a bit like when I had my back injury at work in my old job. When I had what they first thought was a slip disc, but it turned out to be a torn tendon. Even though I've done all the recovery from that, I still get some back pain, and it means my heavier drawweight crossbows I don't like to shoot. Because even if you follow proper crossbow drawing technique, even when you're drawing it, you still feel a bit of pain in your back where, you know, it never heals quite right. Yeah, I've got several jobs. Like, YouTube's my main source of income, but I also work weekends because I live quite close to a garden centre, and we've got quite a popular like restaurant cafe thing in the garden centre. So I do a kitchen porter job there, which is cleaning up. So it's not very glamorous, but there's no commuting time. It's blue collar work, which I like. You know, it's like scrubbing things and whatever, so it keeps you in good physical shape. You know, it's not a job where sorry, it's not a job where I have to be, you know, thinking too much. It's just a job where I can listen to the radio or whatever and get on with working. And yeah, that's obviously pays over minimum wage, so that's good. So it means that, you know, I can pull in what, like 130 quid a weekend or something doing that every weekend, plus what I make from YouTube and a few other things. Heavy machine guns and anti-material rifles for the most part, Sir Roofington, so like very big sniper rifles essentially, and heavy machine guns. The point of this, originally 50 BMG was developed as an anti-aircraft round in World War I against biplanes. So it's for use against light armour or aeroplanes, or for use, you know, against infantry at long distances. No, I might at some point, but I have to buy a spare one before I ruin my M1. Oh, thank you very much again, Laser Point Productions, you're too kind, cheers. But yeah, don't forget to like the stream, everybody. Yeah, I mean, an intermediate round certainly makes sense, because it's, I mean, intermediate between 7.62 and 5.56, because again, it gives you, as much as it is a jack of all trades thing, it'll be more recoil than 5.56 and less powerful than 7.62. It's also more powerful than the 5.56 and less recoil than the 7.62, isn't it? So again, it fits somewhere in the middle, where if you are just going to mostly issue one kind of cartridge and rifle, I suppose that does make sense. Yeah, it's like why the I like the FN57 because it makes a lot of sense. Where you've got a pistol that shoots a cartridge very similar to this, so it's, you know, a cartridge specifically designed to penetrate body armor. So the FN57 can hold a lot of rounds, and it's quite good at penetrating lightweight body armor. So it's very good for police and like issue, you know, police issue and stuff like that. I don't think there's any sugar mills anywhere near me, Compot Boss. Hollow points expand when they go into a target, Sir Roofington, so they do more damage to organs and everything, and tissue. So, I don't know if I've got an expanded hollow point to demonstrate it, but here's a 9mm pistol round. Pretty sure this is 9mm. Yeah, there's a 9mm pistol round. Ignore the dust on it. So that's obviously pretty tiny, but if you imagine that the hollow point in the end expands, what happens is when it hits the target, that hollow point gets bigger. So let's say it hit you squarely in the chest or something, or the neck. Yeah, so if that went into your neck, being a hollow point, it expands. So when it goes through, it makes a bigger hole. And because hollow points slow down more in the target because the end mushrooms out, it also means that it does, you know, more energy is transferred into the target, because ideally you want the cartridge to stop in somebody and not over-penetrate, because that way more energy is transferred into the target. You know, so it has more of a shock effect on them. Blowguns are illegal in the UK. I have no idea if they'd be good for hunting or not, but weirdly they're illegal in the UK. I don't know why. Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about a lot of these cartridges that aren't adapted. I know a fair amount about 5.56 and 7.62 and like 5.45 and, you know, everything like that, because they're pretty mass-produced military cartridges, but I haven't really read enough into some of the various intermediate cartridges nations have looked at, you know, and not adopted. Let me just reload the FAL while I remember. That's the 7.62, isn't it? There we go. I wouldn't say anything about that, Sir Roofington, because that could potentially be illegal. So remove your comment, don't worry, you're not in trouble, but make sure you comply with all your laws and everything. Oh, yeah, thank you, Georgia. Somebody mentioned that earlier, but I've not read into it properly yet, because somebody mentioned it while I was on the stream. I don't think it had been announced before I started streaming, and then, you know, when I was streaming, somebody's like, oh, Theresa May's just resigned. So, yeah. I'll read into that a bit later, but you know. Okay, so it's a 5.56 cartridge, but does it have a lot more energy then? Because simply putting a larger thing at the end wouldn't really, oh, I don't know, you know. What have I been doing? 45 minutes. I'll go on for another 15-20 minutes or so. But still, I'm fairly tired today and I've got some stuff to do. What I'm going to do as soon as this stream ends, see all those books on the end of that bookshelf there? I'm getting a carrier bag. I'm putting the ones I'm not going to read in a hurry anytime soon in the carrier bag. I'm taking them up to the attic, and that way I can fit about 3 more gas mask satchels on that shelf there. And I need to remember to PM you Laser Point, don't I? Or you PM me, whatever. And I'll check Discord fairly quickly after I finish the stream, just so I can sort out Fallout 76, maybe start it downloading. But yeah, I'll put this Chinese M65 mask in its satchel bag, and I'll store that one on there. And I've got a few more satchel bags that I can just store on that shelf, and it means that, you know, I can remove clutter basically and start expanding my gas mask collection again, maybe. But yeah, Theresa May resigning, that's interesting. She's been a long time going, and I don't think she'll be replaced by anybody better than her. Because the thing is, going back to politics again, I can kind of feel sorry for Theresa May in a sense, because although she's been an awful Prime Minister, I don't think there's much she could have done differently, because her whole party's so divided, and, you know. I'm just looking at the news to see if there's anything interesting on there, but the only thing seems to be Theresa May all over the thing. Let's have a quick look at the stock market, because I'm interested if that's going up or down with her quitting. Oh, the FTSE 100 has gone up massively, okay. So, for business, Theresa May quitting is a good thing, apparently. Yeah, she's certainly no Iron Lady, is she, Compot? But yeah, like you say, Steve, it's my opinion the same as that. I think she's been quite a bad Prime Minister for Britain, but at the same time, I know she's had a really difficult job of it, you know, so I can understand that a lot of the things aren't her fault. It's just because there's been a completely divided cabinet and everything, and Tory party, so everything she tries to do is going to get shot down no matter what. My XM28 probably, which I paid about £100 for, but I've also got 2 British C7 respirators, and British C7 respirators are pretty rare, because they were the Cold War British mask that was produced and then recalled and recycled or destroyed, like as a British civil 1950s kind of gas mask. Right, with jobs, Sir Roofington, they're normally referred to as blue-collar or white-collar jobs. Blue-collar job is like physical labour. It's things like plumbers, electricians, people who go out and do things. White collar is kind of like office workers. Yeah, so what Steve says. So, in general, a blue collar job means it's more physical labour based. White collar means it's more sitting around, filling out forms and things like that. Not in Russian Bakelite 762, but I've got some old communist Polish Geiger counters type stuff, and that's in very similar to Soviet Bakelite. That's in, you know, Bakelite. I've also got an East German AKM bayonet that's in Bakelite, but yeah, I'm sure working at a mill or working in a factory is one of the most blue collar jobs you can do. But no, that's alright, I tested my FP203 yesterday, laser point, and it actually works, so I'm very happy with that. It worked against banana oil and that. What's in it? Let me have a quick look. This stuff. This stuff is really nasty stuff to test if a mask works or not. It's got nitrogen in it, that's why it's kind of horrible, but concentrated plant feed. So if you sniff this, not that I'd recommend anybody doing this. Yeah. So yeah, although it wasn't sealed properly, I guess it's got so much charcoal in it, and it was still wrapped up in obviously like shipping stuff, that it didn't matter. I guess you're back, Colleen, because you've left a message. Because people's names turn up, it's not that hard to work out who's back when they see it. But yeah, it's because it's like sulfur and nitrogen stuff in there. You know, if you inhale that, what it does is it basically almost feels like you can't breathe for a few seconds. It physically feels like there's something blocking the air in your lungs, and I think that is how it works. I think that's the nitrogen that does that. But yeah, it's kind of, although I wouldn't recommend it for people testing stuff, it is good for testing filters, because if it gets through, you will know about it. Czech CM3 has better straps and it's a better quality rubber, but the Polish MC1 is also good enough. Oh, I might have to try sniffing some of that then, 762. Not that it's a good idea to be sniffing it, but you know. for gas mask tests, I wouldn't mind getting a whole whole bunch of different chemicals out, putting them up to the filter, inhaling deeply, and seeing if anything comes through. You know. Alright, cheers, Laser Point. But yeah, enjoy them. How many filters have you got then? Because it sounds like you're actually prepping properly with your filters then. Because most of my filters now, I've only got like 1 or 2 sealed filters that are still in date now. I've got a lot of sealed filters that are only recently expired, so I would imagine they'd last me a good another 5-10 years because they're so well wrapped. But I'm not completely sure about that person whose names I can never pronounce, so Games. The good thing about the MC1 filter though is it has a proper particle filter at the top section, so even if it has asbestos in, I imagine it would block it better. It's a bit like the GP7 filters, where because it's got a proper top layer filter, even if there's something dodgy in there, it would be harder to inhale it than the GP5 filter, because it's not like they've just put cotton wool in the top like they have with a GP5 filter. But modern Polish filters are safe at least. But my favourite gas mask I've got, Wolf, is the Avon CT12. There's probably better masks than that out there, but out of the ones I've got, is the one I like the most. You know, feels the most comfortable to me. I like the features, I like the weight of it, you know, I like the design layout of it. Sadly, I can't because, Colleen, because UK laws, replicas post 1870, like, you know, of things, a replica of a post 1870 firearm or whatever, you need a specialist license for because of the Violent Crime Reduction Act. So I can buy Denix revolvers like this because this is pre 1870, and I can have a Denix, you know, like Colt Peacemaker, because that's from the 1870s. But anything post this you can't have without a specialist kind of license because it's a replica of a post, you know, whatever firearm, unfortunately. So that sucks, but that's just the UK law. I've got one mask that's kind of a firefighter's mask, Wolf, but I don't have any positive airflow kind of systems other than, you know, like air tanks or whatever. I've not really done videos on firemen's masks. You're obviously spending quite a lot on filters then, Laser Point Production, but at least you're set, I guess, for quite a while. The Belgian BEM 4GP mask does seem to work with most riot masks, at least. Yeah, America doesn't have that law. I'm jealous of you Americans and a lot of the laws you have, but in the UK we're a bit of a nanny state / police state. Good on you, historical swordsman. I've had exes come crawling back before, you know, that have really upset me at the time and then come back because it, like, their next relationship failed. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to lower myself now. So good on you. Well, I'd be pretty fucked if I had to fight Godzilla, wouldn't I, with deactivated firearms and melee weapons. But the one's behind me, maybe the katana, because at least it's Japanese. The Avon CT12, I'll write it down for people that don't know what it's called, but the Avon CT12 is my favourite mask, and it's a variant of the FM12. The FM12 is much easier to get because the CT12 is a much lower produced model of it, but that's my personal favourite mask. No, sadly, I'd love that Yugoslav mountain camo. It's a fucking cool camo, isn't it? Brent did a video on it recently, but I've never seen it for sale. I've got, what I will do a camo video on this summer is my Yugoslav summer camo oversuit camo, whatever it's called, which is like the bright yellow, green and brown Yugoslav camo, but I don't have the mountain camo, sadly. The USM40 is alright. I don't like that it's silicone, so it has to have a butyl over mask. It's not a bad mask. The straps could be better and things like that, but no, Avon rubber is not the same Avon as the Avon company that sells like perfumes and things like that. Avon Rubber is a company, or Avon Protection is a company that does like car tyres, plain like rubbers and things like that. You'd have to find either hardware stores, Colleen, or physical surplus stores. Mostly online's your only bet for gas masks for the most part. Wow, $10 for a bloody mountain camo. That's fucking good price, isn't it? I've been playing a lot of Mordhau recently, Doty. You might have to ask, what's his name? Laserpoint Productions about that, because he'd know best about something like that. Games. I've done videos recommended cheap gas masks, but things like Polish MC1 masks are very cheap and work. I have no idea, Colleen, I'm afraid. Yeah, Avon M50 is cool, but I don't like the fact it uses unique filters. I just prefer it like the C50 in 40mm, because 40mm is kind of just a standard thing. Yeah, thanks, Steve. Yeah, they're good recommendations for cheap but good masks. I'll finish the stream in a few minutes, because my throat's getting quite dry now thanks to the hay fever, which is irritating. I'll have to Google it because I don't know what one that is off the top of my head. That's an interesting looking camo. It's quite fractal looking, isn't it? So is that a Serbian winter camo? I like the look of it, but I prefer that in woodland, to be honest. But yeah, it looks like a cool camo. Most helmets will work with a GP5 because the GP5 is a helmet mask where it's got like that, you know, rubber hood on it. Most helmets will fit with it absolutely fine. Where masks tend to have problems with helmets is if they've got big strap buckles on them where that blocks the helmet's liner. I do sometimes do video game streams, and I'll be doing some more of those soon, because Laserpoint's going to sort me out with a copy of Fallout 76, so I'll probably hate that, but I'll stream it, and then you can hear my frustrations. And then we can probably do a stream where I talk about all the problems with modern games, so I can be a very cynical, boring, sound like an old man, basically, but I think a lot of you will enjoy that. If you've ever watched a channel called Worth a Buy, check out Worth a Buy, because he's some Geordie bloke from up north. I support him on Patreon, and he's like, right guys, we're going to play this game and going to moan about this game. And that's all he does, but his channel's brilliant if you want to hear somebody moan about how games used to be good back in the day and now they're shit. I like Mordhau, that's an actual modern game that I've been really enjoying. I found with school it depended a lot on the teacher. If you had a teacher that really wanted kids to learn and they were enthusiastic about teaching, they made time go really quickly and you picked a lot up. If you had a teacher that just went, okay class, today we will be looking at the textbook, please turn to page 241 and read this section, that's when I never enjoyed school, because it was just boring. Alright, cheers Doty. I won't be streaming again until Sunday evening, UK time, but it won't be a video game stream until some point during the week. Yeah, I got a grade A Yugoslav M, whatever it was, M5985, and that's a bloody good helmet. There's a video coming out on it, but it's a bit like the East German one. It's made from a good shape, it's got a very good liner, and I think out of the old helmet liners, the Yugoslavian one has one of the best liners I've ever seen, as in it's got 2 adjustable straps that do up the clasps. Yeah, New Vegas is my favourite Fallout game. I started playing a bit of Fallout 1 again yesterday. I've managed to get into it a bit more than I did last time, but I still find Fallout 1 very hard to get into just because of how clunky it seems, like the inventory system and everything else. Anyway, I've been streaming for an hour now, so I'm going to finish up. Thank you very much for the donations, Laserpoint, and I'll chat with you in a minute on Discord about sorting out a Bethesda CD key or whatever it was for Fallout 76. Cheers for that. But yeah, thank you everybody, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the stream on your way out if you've not liked the stream yet. If you're interested in theme merchandise such as mugs and shirts, there's a Teespring link below. But yeah, thank you everybody. I've enjoyed doing today's stream, even though I said I've been a bit under the weather, but thank you. For Discord, you have to support me either on Patreon or a Super Chat, and then you can get a Discord link. But, anyway, see you everybody.